What's up, good people, and welcome to another episode of the Verified Podcast. This is your girl, Gabby, and we're here yet again for another week of the Verified Podcast. And so welcome. If this is your first time being here, thank you so much for showing your love. Thank you for listening. If you are a regular listener, shout out to you for the support, for the love. I think that we are maybe episode 8. I think this is episode 8. So yeah, we're being consistent. We're sticking to this thing, and I don't know about you, but I'm excited about it. So today I'm actually in a different location. I'm recording in my kitchen today, so I hope that this episode sounds just as good or even better as past episodes have, but I don't know. I just wanted a different environment. So I'm actually just sitting at my kitchen table and I'm recording this podcast. So that's how we doing life right now. But how are you? How was your week? How are things going? Are you still going to the gym? Are you still eating? Are you still eating healthy? I'll say that. So what's going on in your life? Are you stressed? Are you at peace with things? Like, what's going on? And as for me, if I can be straight up with you guys, this week for me has been anything less than fun. I just haven't been very motivated this week. And, I think a lot of it has come from just, a lot of stuff that I have going on in my family. And you guys already know, like, when you're dealing with family, that's like on a whole nother level, because family is supposed to be our first ministry. We can't choose our family. We're born into the family that we're born into, and we cannot change that. So we have no other choice but to deal with it and to confront what's going on head on. And so for me, I know that God has called me to do some very specific things in my family. And I've known this for a while, but I think every time it comes up, anxiety automatically sets in. And of course, once again, anxiety set in again. And I had to, deal with my family in that way, just as any of us do. A lot of us have called to be leaders in our families. A lot of us have called to take certain roles in our families. And sometimes when you feel that pressure, or when you know that God has called you to a certain level in your family, it can be uncomfortable. And so, again, anxiety set in for me. And, but this time it was a little different, because God reminded me this time that, there was a time, of course, whenever I first found out that this was what I was supposed to be doing in my family, anxiety set in because I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel like I had the tools that I needed. I didn't feel like I was the person to do what God was calling me to do. And so that was in the past, but this week God reminded me that you're no longer that person. Like, you're no longer that person who feels like she's not qualified to do what I've called you to do, because you are older. I'm a bit wiser, and now I'm not confident in me, but I'm confident enough in the God that's within me that He can use me to solve whatever issue there is in my family. And so I was like, okay, God, like that's good. Like, okay, let's go for it. But so one thing that I learned through this, and this is why I wanted to share this with you guys, is that although I knew what I was supposed to be doing, that anxiety came each and every time an issue arose in my family. And what I learned was that was a negative learned behavior. And the very first time it happened, which is way back when, that was when I left a crack for the enemy to slip in, so that every time God tried to remind me of what I was supposed to be doing in my family and who I was supposed to be to my family, the enemy would come in and tell me who I wasn't, and he would try and do that through provoking the feeling of anxiety. But what God was trying to convey to me is that the enemy is not after your family. The enemy is not after what you think he's after. He's not after your money. He's not after your car. He's not after your house. He's not after your money. He's not after the things that you can physically see. He's after the things that are connected to that. So because he knows that my joy and my peace and my faith are connected to my family, he's after all of those things. He's after my joy because he knows that when my family is good, then I'm joyful. He's after my peace because he knows that when my family is not in chaos, then I have peace in my life as well. So he's not after what I thought that he was after. And so I wanted to share that with you guys because I think a lot of us struggle with this, and I think that we give the enemy more credit than what he deserves. A lot of us are saying that, oh, the enemy is after my money, he's after my house, he's after my possessions, or even for me, like I thought that he was after my family. And we think he's after those things because that's where we've placed our joy. That's where we've placed our peace. And maybe that's where you place your faith. And a lot of times we often have more faith in the things than we do in God. So whenever something comes up that makes us question, then we run and we try and fix whatever we think that issue is. So if we think that money, that the enemy is after our money, we're going to run and we're going to try and fix our finances. And don't get me wrong, like fixing your finances is something that we should all be doing because God has called us to be a good steward of all things. But you have to ask yourself, why is your peace and your joy and your faith dictated on how much money you have in the bank? Like, and if that's what brings you joy, then your joy is misplaced because we all know that money comes and goes like it's nothing. Homes come and go like it's nothing. Clothes come and go like it's nothing. Like all of these things that we have attached to our peace, to our joy, to our faith, those things are so small to God. Like God doesn't care about those things. He doesn't care about how you look, although I believe he does want us to look good. Okay. He doesn't care about how much money you have in the bank. He doesn't care about those things, yet you do. So why is that? Like, why are we so consumed with that? And I can even say for myself, like, that's something that I have fallen victim to. Like, sometimes I care too much about what other people have to say, or I care too much about money. Yeah, money should be something that we strive to go for or go after. We should all be trying to get wealth because that's something that God promised us. But when wealth becomes that thing that you place before God, then that's where we have an issue, and that's kind of how we stay in vicious cycles. The cycle of that, I'm going to fix everything around me but me. The cycle of that, I'm going to fix my finances, but I'm not going to figure out the root of why I feel this way about my finances. And so I think for a lot of us, it's time that we get to the root issue of what the deal is, because like I said, the enemy is not after your money. He's not after your car. He's not after your house. He's not after all of these things that we consider to be important, because what can he do with those things? He can't drive your car. He can't live in your house. He can't go out and buy clothes. Like, he can't do these things. So why would he want them? And the answer is that he doesn't. What he does want is your peace. What he does want is your joy. He does want your faith. He wants you to question your purpose. He wants you to question what God has already put in your heart to do. He wants you to question all of those things, because those things are the root of why you do what you do. And when you start to question, then he knows that he has a foothold in the door, that every time a circumstance arises, then he already knows that you're going to question what God has already promised you. And so my charge to you is to begin to get to the root cause of why you feel anxious every time this circumstance comes up, is why you feel nervous every time someone says that to you, or why you feel afraid every time something else comes up. Get to the root cause of that, because I can guarantee that it's probably not whatever you think it is. So yeah, that was our mini catch up and my mini rant. So I hope that yeah, you found it helpful and that you can apply it to somewhere in your life. But let's go ahead and get into today's main topic, which is why you are here. It is officially March, and March means that we not only begin March Madness, but it also means that we begin our series called Body Goals. And we have been talking about how to get these body goals before the summer comes, because this is not going to be another summer where we're just laying out on the beach with our wraps on. No, we're going to be out there being sexy, and we're going to be confident in who we are, because we're going to have been reached our goals by then. And so that's what this series is about. And so last week I opened up to you guys and I was sharing with you a little bit about my fitness journey. And so we're actually going to continue on that same track today, because I feel like whenever I was going through my fitness journey, I didn't have anyone who I could look to kind of talk about these things with, and I didn't know the many pitfalls that I would face while going through this fitness journey. And so my goal with this series is to give you information and to talk to you about some of the pitfalls that I face, so that hopefully you don't have to go through the same things that I did, that you can kind of jump over some of the mistakes that I made. But I can say this, is that I am grateful for every pitfall that I had, because now I'm able to talk to you about them and I'm able to help you get through them. So let's go ahead and get into today's main topic. So we all know that eating is a huge part of any lifestyle change that we're trying to make. That I think that we've all seen the quote or the statistic that says that it's 80% eating and then 20% of you actually working out. And we all know that eating can sometimes be the most difficult part. Like going to the gym is the easy part, because all you have to do is show up and you get your workout in and you go home. But eating is a whole nother matter, because I think eating is something that we do on a daily basis. And sometimes we don't give any thought to it. We just eat because the food is there. We just eat because, hey, it's something that we've done our entire life. And especially when you were raised in a certain household and maybe you have certain traditions of the way that you eat your food, the way the food is prepared. Sometimes as an adult, it can be hard to break those patterns and create new habits for yourself. And so that's what this episode is going to be about. We're going to be talking about eating and my journey with eating and how I'm currently doing, because girl, let me tell you, it's still a struggle, and I'm not going to lie to you. It's still, some days are better than most. I will say that. But my thing is that it's not that I don't know what to do. It's all about being intentional. And I think that goes for everyone here. Like it's not that we don't know how to cook healthy. It's not that we don't know what we should be doing. It's about us being intentional and caring enough about ourselves to say that I'm going to make a different and a better choice for myself today. And so through my journey, one of the things that I learned later on is that you cannot eat yourself out of depression. You cannot eat yourself out of anxiety. And you definitely can't eat yourself out of heartache. And so I think for me, when I first started my fitness journey, or whenever how I even got to the place of where I needed to start a fitness journey, in the first place, I was doing a lot of emotional eating. And so that was a big thing for me, because even when I started my fitness journey, it's hard to turn that emotional eating off. Like, I was going to the gym regularly. I was going every day. I would leave work, I would go straight to the gym. Yet after I left the gym, I would go home and I would eat whatever I wanted. And it's like I would spend hours in the gym and I would come home and destroy the results in 30 minutes. And I think that happens to a lot of us, is that we say that we want to see the results, yet do we want them bad enough that we're willing to change our whole entire lifestyle? You have to answer that question for yourself. But during that time period, it took me a minute to get there. It took me a minute to like get all of the components together in order for me to see the results that I wanted to see. Now, was I losing weight without eating all of the best foods? Yeah, I was. Did I see the results that I wanted to see? Somewhat, but I will say that it wasn't until I changed my eating habits that everything became full circle, because not only was I seeing the results I wanted to see, but I also began to see a difference in my mood. I began to see a difference in the way that I moved physically. And so that just kind of goes to show you how important food is, because it's not about all that you can do in the gym, because the gym is a gym. It's about the decisions that you're able to make in your daily life. And so during that time in my life, I had a rude awakening. And that awakening was that nothing was going to change until I changed. Like, my body wasn't going to change until I changed my mind. And like we talked about last week, everything that we do begins in the mind. Like, you can't physically go anywhere that your mind has not already went and that your mind hasn't already achieved. So it all starts with a made up mind. And so you're not going to get anywhere with your fitness goals. You're not going to see any of the results that you want to see until you have a made up mind, and your mind has to be made up about what you decide to put into your body. Because for me, and I didn't know it at the time, but food had become a crutch for me. And I would eat when I was happy, I would eat when I was sad. And so later on in life, I figured out that what I was doing was emotionally eating, because eating had become an emotional high for me. And I know that there are plenty of women out here who are struggling with the same thing. And don't get me wrong, like, it's good to enjoy food. I am a foodie. I love having good food. But the problem is when what you love becomes a hindrance to where you're going. And so, honestly, I got tired of being halfway sold into my dream. Like, I got tired of being lukewarm. I got tired of having 1 foot in and 1 foot out. I got tired of going to the gym, yet coming home and wasting everything within 30 minutes. I got tired. And I think for a lot of us, we're just going to have to get tired of being the person that we are, because a lot of us aren't going to change until we get tired of being that person that makes excuses, until we get tired of being that person who's always trying to cut corners. And y'all, that was like my life. Like, that was something that I did, especially when I didn't know what to eat and how to eat. Cutting corners, oh, I was the queen. Like, I remember this one diet, and this just came to me. I remember this one diet. It was super extreme. And now that I look back on it, I'm just like, girl, thank God came up and pulled you out of that mess. But I think it was called an HTC diet, and it was very strict. So it came with these drops that I would put under my tongue maybe like every few hours, and I could only eat 500 calories. Now tell me, if you're eating 500 calories, yes, you're going to lose weight. And these pills, they were like promising that, extreme weight loss. You're just going to feel so energized and all of this stuff. And it promised me all of these things. And it delivered on the weight loss, because, of course, I was eating only 500 calories a day or less. So your girl was over here starving like Marvin. Yet, after that diet was over, guess what? I gained every inch every pound back. And I was like, God, like, what's going on? Like, why can I not keep this fat off? Why am I not getting to where I want to be? And it's because I was trying to cut corners. So I also want to talk to you guys who are out here trying to cut corners on your diet. You're out here trying all these fat diets. These diets are promising that you're going to lose weight in 2 days, which does not exist, okay? Like, and especially if you want to lose it the right way, if you want to lose it in a way that's going to help you to maintain your health, you want to make sure that that you're doing it the right way, guys. So we don't have time to cut corners, because that's just not the type of women that we are. If we claim that we're verified and we claim that we are who we say we are, then we would much rather go the longer route than taking the quicker route, because we know that if we go the long route, then we're going to appreciate the journey a lot more versus if we were to get the prize a lot quicker. And so sometimes it can't be about instant gratification. It can't be that you get what you want when you want it. And that's something that I have learned with my journey with God. Like, God does not give you what you want when you want it. But guess what? He's always on time. And that's something that I can appreciate his grace and his mercy for. So let's get into this emotional eating thing, because like, it's a thing, and I think that it's something that a lot of us have struggled with, and maybe some of us even still struggle with it. And if that is something that you are struggling with, it's totally something that you have to be willing to give to God, because I know that we have all heard of gluttony, all right? And that is considered to not be of the Lord, all right? So we want to make sure that we're covered on all bases. So I just want to help you guys to be able to recognize when you are emotionally eating. And so let's kind of talk about some of those things. And so I was reading an article a few days ago about emotional eating, and it gave me some ways that you can recognize when you are emotionally eating. And I just want to kind of go through some of these with you guys, and maybe you can find yourself here somewhere. So one of the things, the way you can recognize if you're emotionally eating, is if the hunger comes on suddenly and the need to eat feels urgent. Psychological hunger comes on slowly, and it's okay to delay eating. So I know for me, all right, a lot of times I feel like I got to eat, and I got to eat right then. And so that's a clear indicator that it's emotional and it's not psychological hunger. Number two, another way that you can recognize if you are emotionally eating is if you keep eating even when you aren't hungry anymore, or the hunger doesn't go away even though you are full. Hello. Okay. That's me all day. Okay. Number three, you eat to the point of physical discomfort. Number four, you don't know whether you are hungry or not when you ate. That has definitely been me. There have definitely been times where I was not hungry and I still ate because the food was good, okay? Number five, after you eat, you realize you aren't really aware of how much you ate or how it tasted. Number six, you have feelings of shame, guilt, or embarrassment after eating. Number seven, you eat because you are bored, tired, lonely, or excited. That's definitely something that I have struggled with. Number eight, hunger accompanies an unpleasant emotion. Maybe that's anger, hurt, fear, anxiety. Emotional eating begins in the mind, thinking about food, not in your stomach. Okay. Number nine, you crave a specific food and won't feel content until you have that. If you are eating for physical hunger, any food will fill you up. Okay. Now that's definitely for me. One thing that I am always craving, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm a chip lover, okay? I love chips, and just about any kind of chip. And I don't know if it's like the fact that it's crunchy or what the case is, but I really do love chips, and that's something that I often crave. But there have been times where I have like stopped eating chips, and I do know for a fact that when you stop eating, or when you stop doing, when you begin to do less of what you want, then that craving begins to decrease. You just have to be able to use some self-control behind that. So there is a way that you can stop the cravings. But yeah, you have to be intentional about kind of decreasing the amount of times that you're eating it. And lastly, number 10 is that you keep eating or grazing or nibbling because you just can't figure out what you're hungry for. Nothing seems to hit the spot. Physical hunger goes away no matter what you choose to fill up on. All right, so those are some ways that you can determine if you are emotionally eating or not. And I'm going to post all 10 of these identifiers on the blog so that you can go on and read them again for yourself. But I'm pretty sure that a lot of us were able to find at least one of these things that we can resonate with. And I think that it's just a good thing for us to be able to identify where we are, because it's not enough that we just continue to be where we are in our fitness goals and working toward our body goals. We have to actually be active in knowing and identifying where we are so that we can begin to make changes on those things. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up today's episode. So thank you again for coming on and listening. As you guys know, that it is March. So March Madness officially began last week, and we had over 20 women to join. And if you are still interested in being a part of March Madness is for the month of March, and it's where we have made a decision to work toward our body goals. So that means that each and every week, a group of women receive complimentary workouts, full body workouts for the week. And each day you have a workout that you're supposed to be doing. And each week we have something that we're focusing on. Last week we focused on consistency, and this week we're focusing on something totally new. And I think this week we're focusing on self-control. And so we have a Facebook group, and we're posting inspirational things on there. So if you are struggling with accountability and you have a desire to work out, but you don't know exactly what you should be doing, make sure that you join the group. It's completely and totally free. All you have to do is subscribe to this podcast, rate us, and then make sure that you're also subscribed to our blog. And through that's how you'll get all of the information that you need. Also, guys, make sure that you stay on the lookout for something that I have coming out new probably next week. So I created an ebook, especially for people who are wanting to meal prep, but you have no idea how to meal prep. Maybe you find it confusing and you just don't know what you should be doing in the kitchen. And so I have created an ebook where I'm talking about 10 of my top tips that I would give you just to begin. And it's also a 7-day food journal so that you can make sure that you're tracking where you are, the food that you're eating, how your food is making you feel, and also so that you can mark your successes and maybe areas where you can improve for the following day. So I'm really excited about that, because I think that, it can be intimidating getting in the kitchen and you not knowing what you're doing and you not knowing what to expect. So I just kind of want to prepare you guys for that. And so, yeah, that's about it. And if you guys, of course, if you ever have any questions, you can always hit me on my social media on Instagram, which is chiseled_curves. And you can also email me at verifiedpodcast@gmail.com. All right, guys, that wraps up today's show. Thank you for listening, and I will see you guys next week.